10 women. And he would be dead, except I got into hospital and they stopped his heart at 9 o'clock on a Tuesday night and restarted it with 2,000 volts through his heart.
Wow. And
as a result, he can never drink again, take drugs, or lead a life of stress. Having said that, on Sunday he went to Burning Man Festival in Nevada.
Oh, I've been there. It's an amazing event.
You haven't been like he's been, because he flew to Nevada 2 weeks ago, passed all the tests for flying, he's a pilot, picked up his plane, and I got a call on Saturday night to say he crashed in the desert.
Oh.
And he was upside down in a burning wreck in a 4-point harness on his own, flying, and he should have died.
But didn't,
no.
Thankfully.
He didn't do a will, so that was a thing. So I started to coach him after I saved his life, and coached him to say that he should stop being stressed. And my background is neurophysiologist, and then into research, then into teaching, and then subsequently head teacher and legal stuff and being a mediator. And I told him that life was going to be too short for him. He couldn't go on doing what he was doing. And I coached him. We had some interviews for a job to be CEO. And we spent a fortune on marketing that and headhunting, and eventually at the end of it he said, "Tim, will you do the job?" And I said, "I don't work for people, do you not know who I am?" And after 4 days persuasion I took the job, and now I'm chief executive of a company called the Ghost Bus Tours, which is exactly a pun on Ghostbusters. Ghost Bus Tours, and the classic tour, and we operate in London, York, Edinburgh, opening in New York in October. And I said I can only do 3 days a week because I've got to coach, mentor, write books.
Because other people need your help.
Yeah, apparently. So yeah, no, all I can say is I've failed bigger than anybody else in this room, and I know what it is to be penniless, holes in your shoes, walking to wherever you're pretending to go to work, and going to hotels to steal food. I've done that.
And so when you were in that predicament, what is it for you that really turned your life around and got you back on track?
It's a very good question. So my story was that I internet dated when I was a head teacher, which is the foolish thing to do. Fell in love with the wrong woman, who turned out to be the stalker nutter from hell. And she sold a story to the Daily Mail, scum, of me in a red dress at a party.
Were you actually in that red dress, or was it made up?
No, I wasn't in a red dress. I mean, who hasn't been in a red dress? Okay, just me. But yeah, and it was at the end of my life. It was the end of everything.
With a clutch bag.
I didn't have a clutch bag. No, I don't cross-dress, and I wasn't gay as it happened. It doesn't matter if I would be, but as it turned out, because I knew this lovely guy called Mark Lewis, who became my solicitor, who took down on his own the news of the world.
Good man.
He was, and he represented me because the Daily Mail published this photo. It was terrible. My mum was furious. She rang me in tears to say it's terrible, and I know she reads the Daily Mail. And I said, why? And he said, red dress, blue with your eye colour. And that was my mum, and I rewarded her by lying in a dark room for 3 days with depression until I decided that was useless and rebuilt my life. But I had no money, nothing, and I went to find myself. I don't know if anybody's been to find themselves. It's at an ashram or a clinic or anywhere, and I went to my hometown of Dingle in Ireland. Sat on a...
Hang on a minute, you said you went to your hometown of Dingle. You are called Tim Dingle, so...
That's right. So my great forefathers founded the town of Dingle in Ireland.
Oh.
So I'm Irish.
It's a real history from your family.
No, it's all true. So I sat on a beach in Dingle and contemplated my future.
You didn't do, what was that, that TV programme where he walks off into the sea? You weren't thinking Reggie Perrin. You didn't have a Reggie Perrin moment.
I thought about that. That's a very good point. I thought about it. No, at the time I was sitting there thinking, listen, why isn't my life working? I've got 4 degrees. I'm very good at what I do. I'm genuine. I'm a nice guy. Why isn't it working? And I sat there waiting for inspiration. It didn't come. I actually got sort of hypothermia from sitting there thinking there'll be a bolt of lightning and I'll know what's happening. And I walked back into the town. And I saw on the window going into town Dingle's Distillery, making gin and vodka. Very good, I've got shares. And in the window was a potsheen still. If you don't know what that is, it's where you heat up alcohol and make an illegal brew, moonshine if you like. And I decided that that actually was the metaphor. That was everything I knew, all my knowledge, learning, understanding of all the stuff I'd done was irrelevant. What I needed to do was boil it up and distill it into one tiny droplet of wisdom, and that's what I did.
And that's quite a hard thing to do, to take everything and just focus on one thing. I mean, I'm one of the biggest people for not actually focusing necessarily on one thing. So how do you get people to focus on one thing? Because that's what you do in your coaching.
Yeah. So the idea of distillation, if you like, is forgetting attributes like knowledge and learning and all the qualifications you've done, and focus instead on how you find actually what is your why, your ikigai. If you haven't come across ikigai, it means what you get up for every morning, what you're good at, what the world needs, what you get paid to do, and what you love. And I found my ikigai. And it was so powerful and so much of a revelation that I help other people experience that. And by asking better questions, we make better decisions. The old favourite I love is that conditions don't affect your destiny, your decisions do, and I think that's true. And if you make better decisions, you've got to ask better questions. So I started with the premise of asking everyone some really difficult questions that I had to ask myself.
And what was your most difficult question that you found an answer to?
I think the hardest one you have to ask yourself is, why am I here? Why am I doing this? Why am I beating myself up for what I haven't done, for my failures? What is it about the human condition that something that happened to me 12 years ago was still influencing me 4 years later, 5 years later? I still have bad dreams. Why do you beat yourself up, and what do you need to do to get through that? And I think once you resolve that in anybody, you've got a fair chance to do something pretty special.
Because people do get so bogged down in what they haven't got right, what they've failed in, and it causes depression. And there's trying to find that point where you can sort of crack that and help people understand that that's not who they are.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things is, my tagline is inspiring people to be amazing every single day. And people round up and say, what's amazing? And it actually comes from 1562, from Hampton Court Palace, where King Henry VIII had commissioned the great mazes of Hampton Court Palace, and you were in it. And in 1563, people came out, and I hadn't got a word to describe it, but they were in the maze, and they came out, and they were amazed. And that is a true indication of what most people are living their life like. They're in a maze, a rat race. They are acting like, if you like a woodlouse, who in heat and sunlight runs around faster and faster and faster, thinking that that will solve everything, and it doesn't. Slow down, smile more, see the beauty, and being out of the maze, being amazing, is for everybody.
And also maybe sort of pointing out and acknowledging what in your life is amazing, having that appreciation, because quite often I think people don't actually appreciate what they have and always look at what they don't have.
Very true indeed. I mean, I think one of the things, now I'm in a position of being incredibly well paid for being a CEO, which I hate in a sense, because money isn't an issue for me. I don't want to be paid. I want to love what I do, which genuinely I do. I think if you're not grateful for the fact you can wake up every morning and look out there and see the beauty, if you can't take that moment in the morning to go slowly, then you're missing something pretty special. Because actually the world is a beautiful place. There's a great book I advocate everybody gets hold of a copy. It's called Tuesdays with Maury, and it's the most life-changing book for anybody. You should work through it. Tuesdays with Maury, a chapter at a time and stop. And there's the one line, I wrote it down, I have it over my bed, which is this, and I think it's where I'm coming from, which is, it has a line that says, a teacher affects eternity. He can never tell where his influence stops. And if you're a coach, if you're a teacher, if you are guiding people on a journey, I just think that's amazing.
It is. And you say about going slowly, but you go at 100 miles an hour. I mean, the way that you put out something every day, your inspirational quotes every day, where do you get your energy and focus and motivation from? Because it's definitely a discipline.
You nailed it on the head. The word motivation should be scrapped from the English language. It doesn't exist. Motivation is situational, depends on circumstances. What you need to be first is inspired, and then you need discipline, which is consistency. So every morning you get up and you do something. I do my breathing, which is 3 minutes of slow rhythmic even breathing, and I meditate, read my Be Amazing Everyday card, and I change lives as a result of it. And that discipline, if you miss a bit, you're not a failure because you get back and do it again. But having a discipline changes lives.
But having discipline is almost like an art and a craft of sorts, because how do you actually get that discipline to manifest?
That's an incredibly difficult question. I think for many of the great athletes, and I'm very privileged to have coached some of them, and I now coach some of the top coaches, which is a weird thing to do. And they tell me that a discipline starts deep inside them. And they became inspired at some age and said, what's stopping you? And one of my favourite remarks I like to say to people is, if you've got a dream, it is only that until you make the plan. But what is stopping you making it happen? What barriers are you putting up that say you can't do it? Because genuinely I believe that, you know, it's taken me a lifetime of work and discipline to do it, and belief that I can do it. And I think when you spoke about that thing, and I tried to elegantly, but I failed, I suspect, say humility about failure, and understanding that it can change in a second from being the most successful person to being a failure. But belief that you can do this is fundamental.
So, say for example, you've got someone that says, this is what I love, this is what I want to be doing. They have skill and training in their area, but what they're doing just doesn't seem to be working. They're not creating the revenue, they're not getting the income from what it is that they love. What's the sort of the first step that you look at with them to get them in the right direction?
Again, I think everybody's an individual, but I think one of the questions I would ask somebody is how much they actually want it. I think a lot of us, and I was guilty of it too, want to be really good at something. I wanted to be better than Tony Robbins, and luckily I am. No, that's not true. I'm much better. My point is this: being honest with yourself about what your capabilities are and what you can do can change your attitude. Very often, people put up barriers to go and do it. They won't pick up the phone. Do you know what? One of the fundamental problems of modern day with emails and sending out email blasts is people don't have communication. What changed Ed's life was me sitting on a sofa, having never met him in my life, and he left his wallet and I gave it back to him, which I think was quite nice. But we had a conversation, and every conversation I've had, it's called the Hoxton Holborn. If you don't know it, go there, sit there on a sofa, put your laptop down and talk to the person next to you. It will change your life. Number one. Number two, have a conversation based on authenticity. And don't sell. Stop selling. What can you do to help people? And when they want you, they'll take you. And my favourite thing to tell people who are coaches is start doubling what you charge. And so when I took the job as CEO and I started doubling and doubling and doubling what I was charging per hour, I hit my absolute peak was about 6.5 weeks ago. And I said to a client, the Ministry of Defence, who rang me up they wanted a lecture on emotional intelligence, which I thought for the Ministry of Defence was quite far-reaching. And I said I would do it, but my rate is now, and even I bulk to this, and I don't have any problem with money, but I bulk to this, and I sort of tried to toss my hair and say, because you're worth it, L'Oreal style. And I went, it's £2,500 plus VAT per hour. And they said, yeah. Can we have 6?
Fantastic.
Yeah, it is, but now I've got to write it and make it good, and that's I haven't got time.
But you could get in there on the inside and
I
actually make a
against
difference.
Yeah, well,
wouldn't that be wonderful though? Because we know what the military do.
Yeah, make the armed forces all nice to each other. That'd be nice.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah, I'd have succeeded if I'd done that. Yeah, I'm not. And I'm genuinely, this isn't about saying, yeah, as successful you are, because it isn't. What I'm trying to get across is the idea that everyone I've ever met has capacity. What they need is resilience and discipline. They need a vision, and they need to follow it and not give up. Too many people, I think there were bits of me that wanted to give up when I had holes in my shoes and no money. I think I had 30p left. I wanted to give up, and you know, I've been to the doctors and I said, listen, I think I'm depressed, and they give you a depression test, which is 40 questions. And do you want to harm people or other people? And, yeah, I do. And at the end of it, the doctor looked at me and said, oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Dingle, the news is you've actually only got 19 out of 40, so you're not depressed. And I went, I failed a test! And I was Depression is a very serious thing. Mental illness is a very serious thing. I've got a lot of people in struggling conditions, and I give away a lot of what I do for free now because I can. But when you see people struggling, and a system that we've got that doesn't help, that makes me kind of cross.
Yeah, I can understand that. And so, out of you've authored 26 books.
Yeah.
So you say. Out of those books, I mean, that's quite a lot. And what sort of subjects do they cover?
Well, funny you should say that, because I can plug my book now.
Yeah.
So my new book,
my
new book is just about to come out. It's called Headless, because I was a head teacher and I wasn't. A brief history of Tim. See what I did there? That's comedy gold. And it was about to come out, all written, beautiful book. Back of it, true story of one of the most successful academics of his generation. I didn't write that. Anyway, I was about to put it out, and unfortunately, not unfortunately, because now I can put banned on it, the Daily Mail slapped an injunction on it because I was infringing the civil liberties of the journalist that made up the story about me.
Wow.
I kid you not.
Wow.
The guy who paid, and the Daily Mail paid, a bloke called Glenn Mulcair, to hack my phone. I kid you not. My phone was hacked, and they heard my mum saying, "Why don't you call? You don't call no more." She's not Jewish, but I mean, if she was, that's how she sang. But they've now slapped an injunction, and I'm going to court with Mark Lewis, my solicitor, yes, because it's now banned. I can sell you copies under the table, but you won't be able to buy it legally for a bit.
So of your legal books, out of the 26, which ones did you really enjoy writing and love sharing with people?
I ghostwrite for people, of whom I can't name who they are for legal reasons. Jimmy Carr. But I ghostwrite, and I quite enjoy that because that's quite funny and quite good to do. I write. When I became a head teacher, and I was 38, and it's the top state school in the country.
You became a head teacher quite late, didn't you?
No, I was 20 when I became a teacher. I was quite.
The head teacher.
Head teacher, 37, 38, about as young as you get. As a head teacher at the top state school, 1,400 boys. And I joined the school, and I got the head of careers to test all the year 7s for dyslexia, because I thought that's a good thing, right? And she said, "Oh, you're so young." I said, "Yes." And she said, "Would you do the test?" I said, "Yes." So I sat down on a Tuesday, and I did this. I don't know what I'm doing with that, but I did the dyslexia test. And 2 weeks later, in the staff room, the common room as we like to call it, because it was grammar school, and I had to wear a gown, and they used to hold on to the edge of the gown in a queue to speak to me. And this head of careers came up to me and said, "Tim, you are so funny." And I went, "Yes." And she said, No, you mucked around in the test." And I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Well, you've got an IQ above 170, but you're the most dyslexic kid this school has ever had.
Wow.
And in the county of Buckinghamshire, the most dyslexic child."
Wow. As an adult.
Yeah, and I didn't know. And so all that time of my life, I'd struggled with the idea that I couldn't write. And I really struggled with it. And
did you ever realise that things were going across the page? You just thought it was
I
normal?
memorised it. I've got a technique for having a near perfect memory, for anybody can have it. You've all got perfect memories. It's just you haven't been told how to do it. But I learnt little pictures of words, so I can spot spelling errors, but I can't write until technology caught up, and now I dictate into my laptop, full stop, new sentence, new paragraph, and it writes the book. I send it away for editing, it comes back. And so that 26, 27 books now, just written another one on social and societal marketing for a university. Who knew? I don't know anything about it, but I wrote it. And I've just finished it, and I can write a book in about 12 days.
Wow.
Because I'm speaking, full stop, paragraph. As you say, I like speaking.
Cool. So you wrote a book based on the dyslexia?
Yeah. So one of the books, I aim to try and help people, because I think that's genuinely a good thing to do, and give back. So I think giving back is probably the thing we all want to do. We all want to to sort of have a bit of ourselves that is going to give back. So I wrote a book to help people with dyslexia, and I coached lots of people in the last few years to get to Oxford or Cambridge from very, very bad schools. And many of them, high achievers, very bright people, were dyslexic, and they never knew. And I think some of our best entrepreneurs, the Bransons of this world, massively dyslexic. But we don't know it because schools, I mean, I used to say, and what annoyed basically every local education authority and the government at the time, was when I was a head teacher, I said schools aren't broken, they're just obsolete. And I still believe that's true, actually. And we don't encourage entrepreneurship, we don't encourage people who struggle in some ways, and we label them stupid, dull, thick. And I was labelled that at school. And I just fundamentally believe that that is a tragedy.
It is, it is. So as you say, you love helping people, and you for yourself have discovered a way to be amazing every day. And this is something that you teach people. You do a course, you've got a system. So just talk to us a bit about, because some people here might feel they want to be even more amazing than they already are. So how can they find out about that and get just a little taster of what that's all about?
Yes, I'll give away all my secrets for free right now. So fundamentally, my first degree was in neuroscience and physiology before I went into teaching. So I understand the brain. All my life I've done brain research and worked in Cambridge, and some of the leading places looking at how the brain works and neuroscience works. And what I found was if you combine physiology and brain with understanding of how they both work, you can control both the neurotransmitters that are really key ones like dopamine, the reward chemical. You can control the bad hormones like cortisol, and you can find the most important hormone in the world that nobody teaches in your body right now, in your body, in yours, and yours. The most common hormone is DHEA, dehydroepiandrosterone. Nobody teaches it. DHEA will make you amazing, and you can get more of it and be more amazing, have all the energy you talked about I've got, by having loads of it, by breathing properly, by altering your lifestyle, so you drink and lots of water, but you eat properly, and you do stuff that will make you better.
And how long does that little breathing routine take?
3 minutes.
Could we possibly do it now? Who would like to learn this technique? And
okay,
help
very
themselves
simple. The
answer is yes, of course. Yes.
I'll stand up so you can see me and you look how tall I am. Okay, so here's the deal. In a minute, I'm going to ask you to close your eyes, but don't do it yet because that'd be dangerous, right? So what I'm going to get you to do, and it's a very simple thing because we all breathe, I'm pretty sure most of you do, although my owner Ed nearly didn't, but imagine your breathing is a cycle. Now everything in life should be a rhythm. It's what's called a sine wave, and you must not hold your breath at the top or the bottom of your breath. Holding your breath will kill you. Fundamentally, it kills people. When I did this lecture 4 years ago, a bloke at the end came up to me and said, "I know why I'm alive." And I said, "Why?" Great question. I said, "What do you mean?" And he said, "I was doing your breathing," and he learnt it from East meditation, which is the same technique that I use for science. And he said he was breathing on, and it was very hot. He was outside. He went inside his hot hut to meditate, and he was closing his eyes. He was doing this slow, rhythmic even breathing, slow as you like, but not holding his breath. And it was a big noise, and it was Boxing Day 2004. It was on Phi Phi Island, and his hut filled with water. It was the day of the tsunami, and his family and friends were all killed. And he was in this hut. His name's James Neal. Some of you have met him. And he was in this hut and he was breathing, and he never got a last breath. He never got to take a deep breath. He was underwater for 3 minutes on YouTube. You can watch it. Underwater for 3 minutes, the roof popped off. He came out, he thought he was dead, held a palm tree, survived. And his experience, I coached him for 4 years. He's just left, he's the most successful seller of Mercedes in the world, and he's just left Mercedes to open his own stuff to help people change the world. And he said to me, that is the fundamental thing you must learn. Never hold your breath. So what they say to comedians when they come on stage is, deep breath, wrong, don't. You'll get like a rabbit in the headlights, you'll forget all your lines, all your jokes, and you won't be good again. So slow, deep breaths are fine. Slowly in, push my hand, slowly out.
Through the nose or the mouth?
I don't care.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Literally,
It doesn't matter.
as far as I'm concerned, they're the same thing.
Okay.
Obviously, don't eat through your nose, it's bad, generally. But slowly in, slowly out. Watch my hand. Try and do it with me in time. Everything in life is a sine wave. If you look at it, something called the Fourier analysis, you can find that everything from your brain waves to breathing to life is a slow wave. And I'm going to talk to you now. If you close your eyes, bear with me, don't have to, it's not a religion. Close your eyes and I'm going to talk to you as you do it. So keep that breath going. And it's just for 3 minutes, and all you're going to do as you do that breath is not stop at the top of the bottle. And in doing so, what you'll find is that your body thinks you're going to survive. If you hold your breath, you stub your toe, you look down a steep slope skiing, you think you're going to die, and your body uses a load of chemicals, including the cytokines, to switch on your mitochondria to burn up all the oxygen. So what you're doing now by slowly, rhythmic, even breathing is convincing your parts of your brain to release a chemical which releases a hormone called DHA, which is flooding your bloodstream. And in doing so, it slows you down. But it slows you down in a brilliant way. It actually makes you as excited or as calm as you want, but it makes you become in the flow. And the flow, some people call it the zone, athletes call it being in the zone, some people call it being in the flow. It makes life easy. So you get up every day and it's extremely easy. So slow, rhythmic, even breathing. Keep going, because it takes 3 minutes. That's all it requires. You can do it on the tube, you can do it with lots of noise, you can do it on a bus. Don't do it whilst you drive, that would be stupid. But you can slowly breathe, rhythmic and even for 3 minutes. The thing though is, if you do it at night in bed, you'll fall asleep at the end of it. You'll feel yourself get more and more relaxed as you do slow, rhythmic, even breathing, just for 3 minutes. So what I insist on people doing, as you're going to come out of it in about 30 seconds time from slow, rhythmic, even breathing, I insist you snap out of RAS trance, reticular activation state trance in your brain, and come out of your trance and have a day of being amazing. And what I get people to do when, in about 10 seconds when I ask you to open your eyes, is take a card I'll hang around and read the words on it. And you do it every time to snap out of trance. And every time you read it, you'll get something different occur to you. So, very quietly open your eyes. I'm handing around some cards. Please take one. Just have a read of what it says on there. And as you pass it round, you'll find that something will jump out of you every single time you do it. Could you pass those back to me? And that is all I do. And I do it every time I've got to pick up a phone call or pick up a phone. Every time I'm doing this, I went and found myself a quiet corner tonight and did that breathing, read my card, and I have no stress when I do it.
I feel very
floaty.
Very
Now read the
chill.
card, read the card.
Yes, read
You'll be in
the
a
card.
trance forever.
Can I read it out loud, or does it have to be
No,
internal?
just read it to yourself, because everybody read it out loud, it'd be silly, right? That's what it is. It is real science. It's not cod science, it's not false science, it's not hugging trees, which I love, obviously. But it is a beautiful, beautiful thing. If you want to know more, contact me. If I can help you, I will. If I can't, I can't, because I'm too busy running a ghost bus. Who knew? But I'm delighted to help people I can. If I can't, I can't. Obviously, I do this for a living, but I don't nowadays need the money that I used to need. But if I can help, I will. But any questions, I'm happy to take.
Yeah, and I guess if you're saying this to yourself every day, underlyingly, it gets into that subconscious,
Yeah.
and it's that sort of, I don't know if you believe in the law of attraction, but that kind of concept where you're bringing to you what you desire, what you love.
Sure.
So that, I think, is a sort of a vibrational thing.
Yeah, so Napoleon Hill got it all right, and I think his book is exceptional, all but 2 chapters. And if you haven't read Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, you should. It took him a lifetime to write, but it's a brilliant chapter. And what it says is, everything you can imagine in your mind, you can, or desire, you can achieve. And part of that is the belief structures that we have. So many of us have belief structures that live on fear.
Yes.
We can't do something because somebody will laugh at us, we'll fail, we'll be a disaster, somebody's judging us. Who's judging us? Why? So part of this is changing your belief structure. And you're right, it's changing conditioned brain pattern, the simplest part of your inner brain that says you're not good enough. That thing that our friend Pete Cohen, who I'm his coach, says is the duck in your head, because he used to coach Eric Cantona, who kicked somebody in a football game. I don't know about football, but he kicked somebody, and the judge said, "Why did you do that, Mr. Cantona?" And Eric Cantona said, "I could not shut the duck up." And probably didn't mean that. But we have a duck in our head saying we're not good enough, we can't do it. So why not change the record?
Exactly. And so we're just coming up to time, but we want to cover a couple of 3 questions. Does anybody have a question for the amazing Mr. Tim Dingle? Preet, we have a question for you. If you can speak nice and loudly, please.
So what do you think, so when people in the world, I believe there was one world where we all believed that everything is ours. Then we lived in the world where this is yours, this is mine. But now I believe we are in a world where I say, what is mine, but what's yours is mine too. So this kind of mentality.
So you steal stuff, right? What
yeah.
are you saying?
No, what I'm saying is that this is like, everything is for me. The sharing is like not there.
Okay.
Oh, I wonder what's
the question?
about
Do I believe that?
No, I don't believe that. I believe everything is, I like sharing, so I'm just trying to understand your point of view.
Okay, so
you see
Murray would say, Professor Murray in this book, he would say, the first thing you've got to do is realise we're all going to die. Now,
well,
it's
that's true.
I don't know if anybody disbelieves that, but fundamentally we're all going to die. Once you accept that, and we're all in denial about that, by the way, we all think we're not going to, I'm getting younger and all the rest of it, which I am, but we all think we're not going to. But once you accept you're going to die, you start living. And people do it too late in life. And we're not going to take anything with us. I can't take money with me. I can't take a big house. I can't take a Porsche 911 Turbo GTS. I can't take that with me. You can. I know a woman who was buried in one, but generally you can't. So if that is true, you've got to live life in a different way, which is more sharing, more open, and I think what you're referring to is a community based on a beautiful thing, which is love.
But soul is metaphysical energy and it's eternal and immortal. So when you say, like, we're going to die,
yeah, I'm pretty sure we are.
But in this spectrum of life, this is how we are.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to argue with anybody about their belief structure and what they are. From my point of view, I'm a very hardcore scientist for years and years and years and years, but I have a belief structure that says very often ancient wisdoms are right, but they didn't have words for it, and therefore I accept lots of different things as being true for whoever wants to believe it. So I'm not critical or judgmental about that. My belief structure is that thing about teaching. If I want to go out into the world and change lives, if I change one person in this room tonight, it's worth it.
Lovely. Another question from anybody? Have we got any more questions from the room? Yes, right at the back there. Lovely JL, the wonderful owner of Jury Gift. JL, lovely round of applause for a wonderful venue. JL, what's your question? Nice and loud, please.
So you guys spoke about, you touched on laws of attraction, Sarah, and I've actually been studying laws of attraction and going into sort of affirmations and stuff like that. What is your take on the whole concept of The Secret? I mean, I know it's a very commercial way of kind of self-help, but I found vision boards actually, you know, this venue was on a vision board, so I find that it works.
Yeah, so listen, whatever works for you works for you. For me, I think a lot of it is not based on what I like, which is rigorous science and testing. So everything I've done has taken years and years to evolve and test. I think many of the people advocating what's in there don't understand the science behind it, but there are some good things in it. Right. Therefore, it's a good thing to do if you want to do that thing. I find a lot of people, I mean, I'm a big fan of coaching. I think coaching is amazing. And I'm running this big conference in Amsterdam. You should all come to it, 10th and 11th. European Training and Coaching Conference. Can be amazing.
There's a few coaches in here, so please do make sure you get his details on that.
Do I believe in any particular thing? No, because the thing I said somewhere in my speaking tonight was ask better questions. Does that make sense? Yeah. So you can believe whatever you want to believe if it works for you. For me, do I believe in anybody else's stuff?
It has to be authentic to you, so
Correct.
it has to mean something to you. like my friend will see the number 8 everywhere, and she's like, it means something.
Well, that's fine. And that's absolutely fine. There are lots of people who are superstitious, lots of people believe in astrology, lots of people believe in things. Personally, my viewpoint is, I think the brain is the thing we should believe in, and being good to each other. So love from here changes worlds.
Yeah.
But you've got to start on yourself, and you change yourself before we change the world.
Love yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a big part.
Yeah.
Thank
Pleasure.
you, JL. One more question. Have we got one more question? Isabella, lovely Isabella, please do ask.
Well, I'm really fascinated about the brain work and everything, and I'm fascinated about neurotransmitters. And I obviously understand that to build neurotransmitters, we need certain nutrients, especially amino acids. What's your daily eating routine? What's your breakfast? How do you feed your body to feed your brain?
Interesting.
Right, I had a student when I was teaching who used to say you shouldn't eat chocolate because you get spots, and I used to tell her off every week because that's some nonsense, because food is broken down by digestion, ingestion, digestion, absorption, assimilation and ingestion. In terms of nutrients, unless you're very deficient in stuff, you can make most of it yourself. Vitamins, obviously, ADEC are the fat soluble, B and C are water soluble. In terms of things like omega things, fish oil and all the rest of it, I think there is some validity in it. There are some tests going on at the moment that says that you need a balanced diet of nutrients. I think if you starve yourself of anything, it's a bad thing. If you overdo anything, it's a bad thing. But understanding what the right balance is, and I think probably some of the mineral stuff with magnesium is a big thing at the moment, and I think that's really
I take that every day.
well done. And but I would argue that most people don't drink a pint of water when they wake up, and they should do.
I do that every morning actually.
There you
Yes.
go.
First thing I do is drink a pint of water. But on that note, we are run out of time. So I want to have a big round of applause for Tim. Tim is going to be hanging around. Your website is thelset.com, where you can find out about his courses, training, and your upcoming conference that you just mentioned.
Yeah, and also the Ghostbusters, go on it. Classic Tours, go on it, because that's my company.
And he's going to be sticking around, so please do feel free to come and have a chat with him. So a big round of applause for him. And just before you go, I want to say a big thank you to JL. Please do carry on drinking. And can we just have Angela? Angela is there. Angela's kitchen, is she there? Angela! Because tonight there has been some lovely Caribbean food on offer. Please do, if you're feeling hungry now, please do order some food. It is made with love. His lovely JL. Angela's not just a chef, she does courses, cooking classes, just public speaking. She's more than just a chef. She will be around a bit later. If you want details of her Caribbean food, please do make sure you ask me and I will make sure you get in touch. Her details are on her banner, but more importantly, please do order some food and please do buy some more drinks from the bar. We're carrying on till 10 o'clock, so let's just carry on getting to know each other and building our relationships and have more synergy. So thank you very much, everybody. And applause. Oh, sorry, Angela, sorry. Angela, please do say.
Good evening, everyone. I am Angela Williams, and I'm the founder of Angela's Kitchen, Learn to Cook and Eat the Caribbean Way. And a little bit about me. I was born in Yorkshire. My parents were Jamaican, and I started cooking at the age of 8. And by the time I was 13, I'd mastered a traditional dish. I'm also a qualified criminologist, but my brother said to me, Angela, why don't you cook for people? So I decided to start cooking for people. And if you are an entrepreneur also, and if you're looking to grow and scale your business, we've got, if you like Caribbean food and you want to attend a supper club, then there's a supper club on the 19th, and I'll be there giving you delicious Jamaican food. It won't be just finger food, but there'll be more delicious dishes, and you can get to grow and scale your business. And I do cooking classes, and I'm also going to be filming on October. So if you want to get involved in a day in the life of Angela's Kitchen, then let Jael or Sarah know and pop your cards in a bowl or whatever. And there's some delicious finger food for you this evening, so please feel free to come and order at the bar.
Lovely. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let's party!